municipality. And
It's 7:08. I call the February 5th, 2020 meeting to order. Roll call.
Bennett. Leosa.
Here.
Lane.
Here.
Mealy.
Here.
Skiara.
Here.
Witecki.
Here.
Matthews.
Here, please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting's been provided by the annual schedule of regular meetings herefore adopted and posted on the public bulletin board at the municipal building, emailed to the Hawthorne Press, the Herald News, the Record, the Gazette, and all persons who have requested the mailing of such schedule. A copy of said schedules remained on file in the office of the Borough Clerk from and since December 12th, 2019. Approval of the minutes. Have approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of January 8th, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Witecki, second by Lane. Any discussion? Roll call.
Witecki.
Yes.
Skiara.
Abstain.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Bennett. Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment. I now open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard on agenda items, come forward to the microphone, state your name and address. Does anyone wish to be heard? Seeing no one, I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Witecki,
Second.
second by Lane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Adoption of ordinances, we have none this evening. Old business. John, we'll start your way.
Oh, thank you. Mayor, I was just wondering, is there any update on Pasadena Place?
As a matter of fact, I got something today from the chief. They've got all the information down, and you're at the top of the list as far as stop signs, so I would hope by the next meeting, we'll have something concrete for you.
Thank you.
At the ordinance committee meeting, and that's where it was.
At probably go to the ordinance committee meeting, so.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I have, sir.
Hey now.
No.
Mike.
No, I'm good.
Joe.
All right. So I'm bringing back up a couple items that I emailed. I just want to talk about the replies. Stump at the pool. The reply was that although there are other more important items, that we weren't going to pull a group off to do the stump. I just want to point out that I've requested that stump to be removed for over 18 months ago. It's not like it was.
I understand.
Maybe they're letting it rot away and they don't have to do it.
So the Shell station, the reply to that is that the company that owns the Shell station can use it as storage, even though they don't have certificate of occupancy. I don't think the storage at the Shell station is their own property. It's all brand-new doors and windows.
According to the owner, he said it was all his practice. I called him a while back on that.
Is he a construction worker?
Uh,
They're all
among
brand-new
other things,
doors
I
and
don't-
windows.
But I will reach out to him again just to make sure that that's all his stuff.
It's the Shell station at the Five Corners.
Five Corners?
Right.
Is filled with
Construction is-
Anderson windows and doors,
It's been that way for a long time, Joe.
and it doesn't have a certificate of occupancy.
They own other gas stations, that's why probably too.
Yeah, what?
They own other gas stations.
They're
Not
going to
just-
install Anderson windows
No.
and doors?
Well, I don't know, maybe they are.
I will call the owner and find out what he's storing there.
All right. The cars parked along 179 Goffle Road that are all over the place now. I called that in a couple of times. It's the old factory from Triangle up, all on Goffle Road. Maybe some police officers can swing by. And the tree stakes, which I've been asking for close to 2.5 years now.
Well, it's been referred to Public Works, and I hope we'll get them done. I know that you wanted to get the contractor back, but that ain't
I'd want them
happening.
out at this point now, because now they're just harming the roots of the
Right.
tree because they don't allow it to strengthen and grow into the earth. That's all I have for old, and I have no new.
I had one thing of old, Eric. There's a tree on Lincoln Ave. I think the address is like 130, 131, something like that. I spoke to the building department regarding it last night.
What was the address again?
I think it's like 130. they've had the sidewalk dug up for over a month and a half, and they're forcing people into the street to walk. I asked about it and was told there's a root from the tree that they're waiting for the county to trim or the tree to be removed so that they can re-pour the sidewalk slab. And I said, well, that's not good enough. They should really refill it with gravel or sand and take the tape down so people don't have to walk into Lincoln Ave. So that took care of the building issue, but if it's a tree trimming or tree removal issue, they didn't hesitate to come further down near Company 4. So I don't know if the homeowners actually contacted the county or...
Okay, I'll follow up with them.
So whatever the issue is, whether it's a root or the tree removal, could you please follow up with the county on that one?
Okay. Will do.
No.
Mike?
No, thanks.
Rena?
No.
John?
Yes. I understand that the self-storage building at the end of Goffo Road going into Prospect Park, they're having some deliveries there, and the tractor trailers are parking in the street, blocking the entire, I guess would be southbound lane. No police officers there to direct traffic in a safe manner. I don't know if I guess no escrow account has ever been set up to, as per our ordinance. And, I mean, they're there for several hours unloading these tractors, and there's, from what I understand, there's still many due to come and unload their product. Can maybe you talk to the chief and see what we can do about that, please?
Yes, Chief, could I talk to you about this and see what you can do? Thank you.
Okay,
We'll take care of it.
thank you.
Took care of it.
Took care of it, Thank you, chief.
I'm nothing if not efficient.
That's all I have.
Okay. I have no new business. Turning to the administrative agenda presented by Mayor Goldberg.
Thank you, Council President. Last Friday, I attended the Chamber of Commerce Member of the Year dinner honoring Bob Van Dyke in Van Dyke's Park Place. Since Van Dyke Healthcare formation in 1953, their quality care and service has set the standard for the assisted living and healthcare industry. Not only that, it's a beautiful facility up there. It's a service distinguished by quality care administered by a caring family with caring staff, and we're proud to have them part of our Hawthorne community. So I congratulate Bob and the entire Van Dyke family. If you remember, December, we had some issues with the post office getting residents getting their mail and whatever. So I had a meeting with the postmaster and the supervisor in Hawthorne about 2 weeks ago, and he explained that they received a high volume of packages from Amazon, and they made a decision that they thought that people would rather get their packages than their mail. Fortunately, now the holidays are over, and while they still get a high volume of packages, they seem to be able to deliver both. But I told him that I wanted to have quarterly meetings with him and the supervisor, which he agreed to, and I told him I was forming a post office committee to delve into some of the complaints and problems. I asked Councilman Sciarra to sit on that, as well as Linda Missinelli, Tiffany Delacroce, and Lori Filster. We had our first meeting, and we'll meet again before we meet with the postmaster, but at least I think they understand that we're keeping an eye on them. And I want to thank Senator Menendez's office, Booker's office, and Pasquale's office for following up with us to make sure that we were satisfied with how we were treated by the post office.
So the mail's getting better.
Mail is getting better. Also, we had a meeting with John Bertolo and his new events committee, together with the commanders of the VFW and American Legion, and we're working together on new ideas for both Memorial Day and the Veterans Day services. It was a very positive meeting. I also want to commend borough resident and Belleville fireman Lou Francello for his heroic actions in the morning of January 24th. He saved the life of the driver of a car. Lou was home from work that day, heard the crash, saw the car smoking. He ran to the scene of the accident, pulled the driver out from behind the wheel, and brought him to a safer area. Lou went back to the now burning vehicle to make sure that there were no other occupants in the vehicle. Finding no one, he returned to the driver to find him unresponsive. Lou administered CPR until our EMS, fire, and police arrived. I want to express on behalf of the borough my appreciation and my admiration to Lou as well as our EMS, fire, and police personnel. It was really a great save. And again, there was a borough resident reacting just as Mr. Gorell went into the pond last year or 2 years ago, people thinking not of their own safety but the safety of others. And I think that's such a comment about Hawthorne residents that everybody seems to go the extra mile to do what we have to do. Again, our police department, EMS, and fire department had a great response there. So thank you to all of you for what you did. And again, if you need to receive the mayor's war card, visit me in the afternoon in my office. If you see me around town, please ask me, because I always try and carry them around when I'm out of the office. That being said, I told Andrew that it took 12 skates to get one mayor card, but my alternate for the library board of trustees was Gary Sinning, and Gary used to be the liaison for the council, so I thought it was a way to get Gary more involved, and Mike has taken over the library liaison job, so I have an appointment of the mayor of an alternate member of the Library Board of Trustees of the Borough of Hawthorne. By the virtue and power and authority vested in me as mayor of the Borough of Hawthorne, I hereby appoint Michael Sciarra as an alternate member of the Library Board of Trustees to fill an unexpired term until December 31st, where a successor shall be appointed and qualified. Actually, he serves the length of my term because he's my alternate. Dr. Spirito, Mr. Spirito is the superintendent, gets an alternate, and I get an alternate. We're the only two alternate to have alternates on the library board because we're on the library board by ordinance and state law, I guess it is. That being said,
Have a motion to record.
So moved.
Second.
Mike coming
Motion
down and
by
get
Lane,
sworn in.
second by Witecki. Roll call.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Skiara,
Abstain.
Woteki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, Mike, good thing it wasn't a close vote. Your abstention could have been important.
Touch and go.
And then it wouldn't have gotten recorded.
That's correct.
Michael,
Could rip it up, but we're
You
done.
need to know Michael.
I'm on it. Oh,
Hold it.
damn. I was this close.
Yeah, well.
Hang on, let me move the podium while I'm here.
much prettier than
Yeah. I saw what this was about.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I, Michael Skier,
I, Michael Sciarra,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and this state,
under the authority of the people,
and the authority of the people,
who will perform the duties of
and will perform the duties of
alternate member of the Library Board of Trustees
alternate member of the Library
of the
Trustees
Borough of Hawthorne,
the Borough of Hawthorne,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you.
Good job. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Good job.
Good job, Mike.
Council President, as you were aware, about 2-3 years ago, we added special twos to our police force. They're a one-year appointment, and they've been a great addition to our police department. And it's my pleasure to appoint as a special police officer, Class 2 of the Police Department of the Borough of Hawthorne, By the virtue and power authority vested in me as the mayor of the borough of Hawthorne, I hereby appoint Andrew R. Skay as a special police officer, Class 2, of the Police Department of the borough of Hawthorne, effective January 18th, 2020.
Have a motion to record. So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mealy, second by Lane. Roll call.
Woteki.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, Andrew. Okay, you folks coming up? Yes, sir. Okay, we're gonna give them the Bible. This, I think, the second or third time we do that. Third time, huh? Third time's the charm. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Andrew R. Skaggs,
I, Andrew R. Skaggs,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of
of
the State of New Jersey,
the State of New Jersey,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
to the governments established
in the United
in
States
the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
on the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and will perform the duties
and
of
will perform the duties of
Special Police Officer Class 2
Special Police Officer Class 2
of the Police Department
of the Police
of the
Department
Borough of Hawthorne,
of the Borough of Hawthorne,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
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 Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Congratulations. Well, I know.
But wait, there's more. And appointed by the mayor of a special police officer, Class 2 of the Police Department, the Borough of Hawthorne, by the virtue and power and authority vested in me as mayor of the Borough of Hawthorne, I hereby appoint Zachary Gronkowski as a special police officer, Class 2 of the Police Department of the Borough of Hawthorne, effective October 18th, 2019.
Have a motion to record.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Lane, second by Mealy. Any discussion? Roll call.
Leosa.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Woteki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Come on up. I'm gonna give the Bible to you. Okay, you're gonna put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, it's like you're in court. I, Zachary Gronkowski,
I, Zachary Rashowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and I'll bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
of the United States
and in this state,
and this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and will perform the duties of
and will perform the duties of
Special Police Officer Class 2
the Special Police Officer Class 2
of the Police Department
of the Police Department
of the Borough of
of
Hawthorne,
the Borough of Hawthorne,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Welcome back.
No.
Okay, I think that's all the sweet. No, Kevin. Appointment by the mayor of a special police officer, Class 2 of the Police Department of the Borough of Hawthorne. By the virtue of power and authority vested in me as mayor of the Borough of Hawthorne, I hereby appoint Kevin T. Foley as a special police officer, Class 2 of the Police Department of the Borough of Hawthorne, effective March 12th, 2020.
Have a motion to record.
So moved.
Motion by Mealy, second by Lane. Roll call.
Woteki.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, come on up.
They got fan club.
Yeah, that's great. Your posse.
And make sure we get everybody in the picture now. That's it. No more Hawthorne press, but They look in the newspapers, they have to be live on television. Kevin, you were the first person we sent to the academy in a long time. There was a lot of pressure on you, but you didn't disappoint us, so we're really proud of you and the work you're doing. Repeat after me. I, Kevin T. Foley,
I, Kevin T. Foley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United
and
States
the Constitution
and the
of
Constitution
the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
on the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and will perform the duties of
and will perform the duties of
Special Police Officer Class 2
Special Police Officer Class 2
of the Police Department
of the Police Department
of the Borough of Hawthorne,
of the Borough of Hawthorne,
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly,
and justly,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Oh, the sisters don't get hugs?
You don't kiss your sister. Come on.
We caught that.
I wouldn't give him anything for his birthday. You don't get a kiss? Holy. No, from your son.
He got a kid.
Mom, girlfriend, no sisters.
Where are they going so quick? You know my report was coming. They usually wait till after the mayor's agenda.
You know, it takes a while to move the stuff, get everything back in shape.
You're all welcome to hear the mayor speak, or you can leave now and hold your peace.
Nice part is the mayor already spoke, you can go.
Aren't we voting on the ambulance corps' LoSAP tonight? Yeah, well.
They're very confident.
And then there was 7.
Who? Oh, I don't know.
You should ask him. Let him come up here. Is he here for scouts? Yeah. Come on. You want to come on up for a little bit? No. Hell no!
Why don't you put him in Bruce Bennett's chair?
I might agree with him then.
There you go.
Are we ready, Mayor?
Okay, at this point, it's time for our reports, and I call upon Borough Attorney Michael J. Pasquale for his.
Congratulations to the appointees. They are congratulated because my report's going to be a little long tonight. So,
That's why I told him to leave.
yeah, no, I don't blame them for doing so. Last Friday, I was in the Superior Court before Judge Brogan on our affordable housing matter. Hawthorne has continued immunity from any builder's remedy lawsuits. We reported to the judge positive news with regard to 204 Wagwell Road, and the special master reported cautious optimism that we will still work something out on the 3 Ronson or Patriot site. We still have to deal with Fair Share Housing and their matter and their demands, but overall we're moving in the right direction. On your agenda tonight are 2 resolutions I wish to speak to. The first one is R36-20, which is the settlement of the Passaic River litigation. Several years back, the DEP started suit against a number of chemical industry manufacturers for release of dioxin into the lower portion of Passaic River at Newark Bay. The settlement that was reached with those polluters was to the extent of $400 million. Those entities started suit against 270 municipal entities or commissions or others who may have dumped things like stormwater into the river, such as Hawthorne. Hawthorne was represented by its EGIF, which is its Environmental Joint Insurance Fund, and as part of a settlement, we paid a $45,000 fee to get out of the case, basically. The EGIF attorneys continued to pursue subrogation claims against our old insurance companies, and I'm very pleased to say that they got back all $45,000 for us, plus their counsel fees. So tonight is a resolution that I'd ask you to approve, approving a settlement where we get back the $45,000 we paid from our old insurance company in the 1970s and 80s, CNA. It's good news, and it's found money, so again, I ask for your support. The other one tonight is the settlement agreement reached with 204 Wagner Road. I'm going to take a little time to explain for the people who would be watching the meeting what this settlement represents. In 1975, the New Jersey Supreme Court determined that every municipality that is a developing municipality had a constitutional obligation to provide in its zoning for the creation, the realistic potential for the creation of affordable housing. In 1983, it decided what's known as Mount Laurel II, which gave additional measures, including arming developers with the ability to sue municipalities in what's called a builder's remedy lawsuit, meaning a court would determine what goes on the property so long as affordable housing is built. In 1985, the legislature passed the Fair Housing Act. The Fair Housing Act took matters from the courts to an administrative body, and it allowed municipalities to submit housing element and fair share plans for approval for what's called a substantive certification, saying here's how we plan to address our obligation. The Housing Act formed COA. COA was the body that created rules and also then administered those rules. It told each municipality that from the period of 1987 to 1999, you had to build so many new units of affordable housing, and you had to rehabilitate so many older units that could be used for affordable housing. Hawthorne was assigned a number at that time of 310 units of combined rehabilitation and new construction units. Obviously, we had no ability to build those, but what happened at that time was, for whatever reason, the leadership in the municipality decided it was not going to comply with or take part in really the COA process. So the owners of Lafayette Hills sued the borough, and we spent 16 years litigating, spending probably $1 million or more in taxpayer dollars, and ultimately still seeing built a development on the Lafayette Hills site. It's one that we ended up being able to live with, but again, we spent a great deal, 16 years and over $1 million later, that's what we end up with. At that time, we had a special master named David Kinsey, and we were able, with his guidance, we'll call it, there was one year he was the highest paid municipal employee, I believe, but that's neither here nor there. We ended up settling all of our affordable housing needs through the first and second rounds of COA. Fast forward 1999, COA rules expired, and COA for the next 15 years failed to adopt compliant rules. So in 2015, the New Jersey Supreme Court basically disbanded COA. It determined that COA had ceased fulfilling its obligation, that no affordable housing regulations had been promulgated, so it returned oversight of affordable housing to the courts. So in 2016, 17, I'm sorry, no, 15, I get my dates mixed. In 2015, we filed a complaint for approval of our housing element and fair share plan in the Superior Court, and that's the action that we're dealing with now. 204 Wagner Road immediately filed to intervene, saying that their site was available for fulfilling part of Hawthorne's obligation, and we have spent 4.5 years litigating with 204 Wagner Road. With the assistance of our special master, Christine Cafone, we have gone back and forth with plans, 220 units and 10,000 square feet of retail, 200 units. They kept coming down until finally they came up with the plan we have tonight. And the plan we have tonight is the one that I'm asking you to approve, because it's one that I believe and our planners believe meets the needs of the people of Hawthorne and still provides affordable housing. The plan involves the development of 117 units of housing on the property, and one additional unit for a superintendent. So 17 of those units will be for persons of low and moderate income. There's a bedroom mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms per what's called UHAC, which is the Uniform Housing, I forget what the complete acronym is, but it's the Uniform Housing Act. And there would be 100 market rate units. In addition, as part of the plan, there will be a 30,000 square foot public storage building, which will be located on the boundary that the property shares with Kohler. Kohler has been an interested party in this litigation since it started, and Kohler obviously is the property that most greatly faces impact from development of the site next door. In addition, there will be a sound wall filling in a gap between the public storage building and what will be a 14,000 square foot gym on the site, so that Kohler's truck parking will be effectively shielded from view and hopefully sound with residents living on that site. There will also be 2,000 to 2,500 square foot of retail space on the site. So it is a mixed-use site, something the mayor has insisted on from the beginning. He did not want a site that was heavy or all residential. He wanted a site that people would come to, that would integrate with the community. We think we have that here. There are some other things that are important. We're going to get $200,000 from the developer and be able to make improvements to our pistol range and our compost site, which should deaden a great deal of the noise that comes from the pistol range. We have complaints all over town that people hear the pistol range and the gun club firing. So we hope that with the money we receive, we can make improvements there. We did have a sound study done, and we know what the improvements should be. So again, that's an important aspect. We'll get $300,000 from the developer towards water and sewer fees and connection fees. The developer will be responsible for signalizing the light, which will be the entrance to the property at Wagraw and Lafayette. The developer is required to build all of the buildings at once. It's not allowed to occupy the residential units until the commercial buildings are substantially complete as well. We were concerned that they would only build the residences and not the rest. That can't happen under this agreement. Part of the agreement is a zoning ordinance, which we intend to introduce at the next meeting of the council, which would rezone the property so as to permit the things we're talking about here. That's the overview of the project. Again, it's one that is far from perfect, but it does recognize the fact that this is a property uniquely situated. It is near, very near, walking distance to a train station. It lends itself much more than any other property on Wagraw Road to some mixed use, which would include residential housing, and it does provide 17 units of affordable housing. So that's the overview I give to you, and I do ask that you support this resolution as the first step in satisfying our obligation. I would tell you about the band shell meeting we had last week, but I've gone on too far, except to say we are starting our fundraising, so please give generously. And that, Mayor, concludes my report.
Thank you, Michael. I now call upon our engineer, Dr. Boswell, for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. The Gotha Hill Storage Tank LSRP services are all done. Closeout documents have been submitted, so that'll be the last time I report on that. The Mary Street Water Storage Tank LSRP services, these soil samples all came back clean, which is good news. The stockpile is scheduled for removal now, and we'll close that one out once we finish the grading on that site. Lafayette Ave Streetscape, you have a closeout change order tonight. That is for, if you remember, it has nothing to do with Lafayette Ave. It's the sidewalk we put in down at the pool, which we used the stamped concrete expertise of the guy doing Lafayette Ave Phase 2 to do that. Also, I should let you know that Lafayette Ave, we now have centralized the electric eye. The lights will all be on or all off at the same time now. They're not individual. They've been connected. I'm not going to say where the eye is because then somebody could go like this, turn the lights on and off. But it is now all centralized, so that they'll all work at the same. The 2019 local aid project, we just have some infrareding to finish up, waiting for the weather to get a little warmer. The 2019 road improvement program, also just some minor infrareding to finish that project up, and they should be finished probably, maybe not the next meeting, but certainly the meeting after, just it's weather dependent. Tuxedo Avenue, remember we replaced the drainage, that's complete. There is a change order in that for $3,600. It's still well under the bid threshold because there was an area that appeared to be an asphalt driveway underneath the collapsed pipe. It was over the collapsed pipe was underneath it, but when it was excavated, it turned out to be a concrete apron. So that was then replaced when the pipe was replaced. The Passaic Avenue sewer lining should already be done, but Passaic County is going back and forth with the contractor about the detour plan. Once they approve the detour plan, we'll line that pipe on Passaic Avenue. The final pump study for the Southfield water facility is nearly complete. We'll be ready to order those pumps probably next week, even this week. The 2020 road improvement program and the 2020 local aid project, tonight you're introducing the ordinances to fund those two. And as you know, a lot of it will be replaced with a grant, will be paid back with a grant from the state. And then finally, at the mayor's request, we attended a webinar on the lighting for the library, looking if there was money available. It turns out there is a pretty substantial program in the state of New Jersey. It's $125 million. It is competitive, but we will submit for it, and we can get up to 30% of the cost back to us. This is separate from the public service rebate, which is a little different because you're going to LED lighting. There is a minimum spend of $50,000, a maximum of $12,500 from the program. I don't think anybody's going to get to $12,500, but with our program right now, 30% of it would be about $88,000 or so. So we have a very good chance of getting that money back. So we'll be applying for that grant on behalf of the library to get that done. And other than that, Mayor, I'll answer any questions.
Thank you, Steve. Finally, a report from my Borough Administrator, Eric Maurer.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I had a meeting today with an NJDOT rep to review documents for the closeout of our downtown revitalization streetscape grant. They accepted a dozen or so of the required pieces of documentation for the project closeout and asked us to make small tweaks to a small handful of other items, which we will have completed and sent to them by the end of the week. At that point, the borough will receive the remaining $30,000 that is due to receive from DOT for the project. A couple small items. At the last meeting, there was a request for how much money we received when the movie was made here in the fall. That was $10,575. We also did receive the check from the insurance for the Bobcat that was damaged in the accident last spring. I don't have the figure with me, but we did get the value on that. And finally, the SDS, the supplemental debt statements for the bond ordinances are completed, and we all know what that is, including our new council people, because we discussed that when we met last week.
Riveting.
Yes. Residents are reminded that setting out garbage and recycling for collection is not permitted until 5 a.m. the day of collection. PM, yes, of the day before the collection. Residents not following this rule by setting out their cans are detracting from in accordance with this time, are detracting from the appearance of the borough and putting themselves at risk for summonses. Residents are also reminded that bulky waste collection only occurs on the first garbage collection day of the month. Following these rules will help keep our town clean. We received delivery of our pedestrian crossing signs with solar-powered signals this week. Installation will proceed over the next month or so as weather permits. Regarding our revaluation, ASI has either inspected or made two attempts to inspect all properties in town, with letters sent out to owners of properties for which the first and second attempts were unsuccessful. These letters reported to the owner what ASI planned to estimate for the interior of the property, giving one last chance for an interior inspection if the owners felt that they did not properly reflect what was inside. Letters to all homeowners giving a preliminary value are scheduled to be mailed out on or about February 17th. On top of their current project going on in town, PSE&G has advised us that they want to begin a bare steel replacement project, which they say has been directed by the BPU. Unfortunately, it appears they have selected most of the locations from our list of recently repaved streets: Elmwood, Arlington, Alexandria, Mandan Terrace, and 7th Avenue, all of which are under our moratorium. Other streets on their list include 5th Avenue, Central, Frederick, North 13th, and Westerville. The final list of streets and a schedule have not yet been established, but they seem eager to get started. I've asked for a meeting with them, and we'll keep you posted on how that develops. I've received an expression of interest from a potential tenant to rent some of our limited remaining space for antennas on top of the Longview tank. Assuming that further investigation on their part determines that the site meets their needs, I would plan to seek the council's approval in the coming months for a lease. After reserving a small amount of space for our own potential future needs, this would fully subscribe the available space. You'll be pleased to know that the antenna leases on the tank, which a dozen years brought the borough less than $30,000 in rent annually, now provide us an excess of $600,000 annually, a figure that would climb further with one more tenant. I just thought it would be important to report that to the public so that they know that we're trying to do wise things on their behalf rather than simply raising taxes.
Lead with the headline, Eric.
Yep. And finally, I'd like to request a meeting of the Finance Committee for next Monday if the members are available to discuss the 2020 salary ordinance, revisions to the fee ordinance, and a schedule for review of the 2020 budget. If that, you can let me know whether that date works.
What time?
What time?
We usually meet at 4:30 or 4:45, so.
That's fine.
I'm all right.
I'm
Okay?
good. I'm good.
We'll see you then. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Eric. Council President, we'll be happy to answer any questions even after Eric's lengthy report.
And multiple finalies.
And multiple finals, that's right. It's the word of the day, apparently, for Erica's finally. So.
All right, so if I could start with, I'm going to go right to my committee report because my committee report has a lot to do with the Shade Tree meeting that was held on Monday evening. The Shade Tree Commission meeting went public. When it went public, I did send the next day to Ms. Fernandez and Mr. Maurer. There were some residents who were objecting to the trees that were taken down during our last road reconstruction program. And in my opinion, I really am stressing to administration that we need a representative from somebody who has boots on the ground from the DPW. I'm very grateful that Ms. Maureen does show up to our meetings, but we need somebody, and I did send it in as an email, and the reasons backing why we need somebody, whether it be from our engineer who approves the trees that are being cut down during road reconstructions, or whether it be from administration, but when the residents are asking questions that the volunteer members of this committee do not have answers for, I think it is important. In the past, we have had Mr. Van Rye, Councilman Hank Van Rye, who was a member of the DPW. We had Mayor Crisatelli attending our meetings, and we had the superintendent attending our meetings, and now we don't have anyone.
Part of that is because the meetings got moved from the afternoon to the evening.
Even when they were in the afternoon, nobody showed up.
Well, we assigned people to show
But
up.
they never showed up.
Well, Maureen goes and she represents the administration.
But she's not a member of the active road department.
She knows more about what's going on with the trees than anybody else in the road department because she's the liaison with Downs. So we could bring Bob
Right, but
Scully,
also-
and all he would say, I'll check with Maureen and get back to you.
You don't want my reply to that.
If people are behaving rudely, they should be told by the chair that they're out of order and that,
There were
decorum is...
comments, accusations that the Shade Tree Commission takes money so that trees can come down.
Then they should have been directed to the police because that's bribe and that's a crime.
Miss Drea Labasco sent you exactly what occurred. I
know.
saw
Yeah,
the
we
email.
all looked at it, and the commission has to represent itself, that, you know, if
No, I
someone's
definitely
behaving,
disagree. I think the DPW needs to have better representation.
maybe when it used to be the Shade Tree Committee, but this is an independent commission.
Okay. I can tell you that I can agree to disagree then.
Absolutely, I don't mind.
I wish you would think about it and not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yes, I
Joe,
understand.
is this Wagner Road, the trees on Wagner
No,
Place?
this is
Wagner
30
Place?
Wagner, yes. It's, I'll tell you the address.
Well, Dr. Boswell's, when any tree, any
36 Wagner and Division, the trees on 42 Buena Vista,
any
and the
roots,
pruning list. Where are we with the pruning list now? I know that they are backed up.
We are getting caught up with the prunings and the removals. I'll have to get a report on exactly where we are.
It's 2020, and they're still working on 2019.
I know that. We've been
That's why we
significant-
need to have representation from the DPW.
But Maureen maintains the pruning list. Maureen maintains the removal list.
Yeah, I mean,
The superintendent doesn't have that information.
In the old days, it was a function of the DPW staff to remove the trees. We didn't do the contract, and so he could then provide direct information as the supervisor of the people taking it out. Without that, all we can do is report where we are and report what we're doing with our contractor to try to get them back up, on schedule. But he can't say, well, yeah, I'll send out a crew every day for the next.
So you're saying
4
that
weeks.
absolutely no tree work is done by Hawthorne DPW employees?
Very rarely, like
Sounds like you need the
0.5%.
contractor at the meeting. That's what it sounds like, because that's who's going to answer.
representative from them,
A
right.
representative from the contractor can answer all the
I
questions
think
of
if
where we
our-
are.
I'll take that.
And I think if our arborist was at the meeting, that might have helped as well. He wasn't able to be at the
He
meeting.
was not able to make this meeting,
Right.
but he makes all the meetings.
Yeah, I'm saying, but I think if the arborist is there, he would have the ability to calm people
These
down.
were trees that were approved
Now-
through the road reconstruction, not to throw you under the bus there, Dr. Boswell, but through Boswell Engineering, that were said that we didn't agree with them being cut down, and then they ended up getting cut down anyway.
I understand, but if there's a concern of the safety of the members of the Shade Tree Commission, we can
I
move.
wish they had a little button.
Well, we can move their meetings down here, because Monday nights when you meet, I don't think there's another meeting down here. And then you'll have the panic button.
I will check with Ms. Labasco, but I would not object to that, because we could have used the panic button.
And I understand, that's why I'm suggesting we bring the meeting down here.
All right.
Joe, really, somebody just could have called 911 if it was that bad.
I think it was the awkwardness of the situation. If you would just have the opportunity to press the little button, it's a lot less.
Right, and that's why I was suggesting we bring the meetings down here.
That's it.
Michael,
Yes, I got a question for Michael. I just wanted to know a little bit about the height of the storage building. I know a few years back we had some concerns with the Nexus building and the height on that building. And I don't know where we are and what the ordinance is for the height.
The height for the buildings on this site, the residential buildings can be a 4-story up to 45 feet. The public storage building could be up to 50 feet, and in no event could be less than the height of the residential. The idea here was to make sure that the public storage building adequately shielded the view of the Kohler facility. So the maximum height is 4 stories, 50 feet for the public storage.
Okay, because I'm just trying to remember the issue we had with the Nexus.
Well, the issue with Nexus is the neighbors complained that it was blocking their view, and this one is designed to block the view. So that's really the difference.
And also, with Nexus, it was outside the zoning ordinance.
Correct.
It was a use
Right,
variance.
but outside the zoning ordinance, and that was the issue.
Okay,
We are literally rezoning the property to permit these heights.
I appreciate you clearing that up. Thank you. And the other question I had was for Eric. On the solar signs, there are solar stop signs up there?
They're they're-
Pedestrian crossing signs.
Yeah, that will flash when people are crossing at a pedestrian cross it.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
the
they're
button.
not stop signs that are,
No, they're not the ones with the little lights around them, no.
thank you. Sorry.
Rena.
Okay, just to follow up about that with the solar pedestrian signs, do we know what locations where
Yes,
they're
There's a
going?
list, yes.
And how many signs did we get?
13, I
I
think?
think it's like 13, there's quite a few locations.
Okay.
They're gonna go to uncontrolled crosswalks where there's a light or stop signs that become a controlled intersection. They're gonna go first to the uncontrolled, the crosswalk by the movie theater,
And by
the
Grand.
crosswalk by the Grand and Diamond Bridge, and there's by some schools that we wanna do that.
What about by Hawthorne Ave and Diamond Bridge by D's?
I don't know whether that's on the list, but it may be. I'd have to check for you. I
Okay.
can't tell you exactly.
Pretty much went through like Van
There's a list,
Winkle
they have a list.
and
Okay.
Lafayette.
If you could share the
There's one on
list,
Van Wickle and Lafayette?
that would be great.
That's a tough one crossing, and basically what they do is you hit a button and it flashes. It's not gonna flash. There are some that flash all the time.
Right, this will only
This
flash
only
when
hits the
someone
button.
pushes
It
the
flashes
button.
when you hit a button.
We are
Okay.
So
putting
at
one at
nighttime,
Goffel Road
you won't be seeing
and
flashing lights all
Warburton
the
because
time.
of the speed of cars on
Okay. No,
Goffel Road.
that's really good. And Mike, I just wanted to follow up with you. Did you ever get a response for 204 about my questions about the remediation and what's going on with that status?
Got a partial response. There were two things you asked me. One was that in some prior iterations of the plan, there was a walking
Correct,
trail
yeah.
that was going to lead so residents could walk to the Passaic River. I don't have any word on whether or not they intend to incorporate that into any final plan. I will follow up. The other one was with regard to ongoing remediation. The site does not have a final RAO.
That's correct.
RAO is a response action outcome that is issued by an LSRP to say that all of the site issues are finished. The RAO is not issued. There remains, they are fully aware that there's going to have to be a vapor barrier
Okay.
installed. There's still presence of certain, chemicals beneath the surface that are being extracted, and so there's a need for a vapor barrier when the buildings are being installed. It's not an uncommon problem.
Correct.
It's an issue with gas being able to get in
Right.
to the building, so the vapor
Okay.
barrier will protect it from
And
happening.
that'll be as per DEP specs?
Absolutely.
Well, they won't be able to get a building permit without approval from the DEP as far as their action plan.
That's correct.
Right, and it's actually going to be a permit. It'll be part of their groundwater remedial action permit, because they'll put a vapor mitigation system as part of their permit, and there'll be biannual certs and nice financial assurance with that, so we will definitely have that.
How far down do they have to go to put that barrier?
Not at all.
Not at all, it's
They
underneath.
basically put it under the slab.
It
Oh.
it also has a venting
It's a
system.
it's a vapor intrusion barrier for the protection of the people in the building. That's what it's about. So
Okay.
It doesn't go down deep, it goes close to the surface.
Okay.
It's all
Right.
sealed and everything too.
Right. Okay. And I think that's it that I have. Thank you.
Dominic.
Steve, the grant for the library, you said maximum to 80,000?
No, the maximum is actually 12.5 million. But
Because
there's
of-
125 million total. The grant can be anywhere between 50,000 and 12.5 million. Highly competitive, but we're going to apply for 88,000 because our total amount is about 250.
240,000.
Yeah, somewhere in
So
that
we're going to
area.
apply for 30% of our amount.
And where we get the rest of the money from?
The library has some money in dedicated funds, and we're also talking about running a capital campaign to help fund the rest of it. The library board hasn't decided how they're going to respond. We are talking about restarting the library foundation, which was the fundraising arm when they were raising money for the children's wing. We're looking to revitalize the library foundation, and we think we'll be successful doing that.
Some of the lighting, just to let you know, Dominic, not a lot of it, but a small part of it is outside lighting, which the borough generally takes responsibility
Right.
for. So that's about 50,000 of the total 240.
Right.
And then also there are public service grants because we're going to LED lighting.
We
as
can
well.
get that too?
Yeah, oh, that's a given. That's not competitive. That one you will definitely get. This one is competitive. We're gonna have to, it'll be a good application. I mean, it
Right.
certainly warrants it, and I think it's in the sweet spot of the money. I find it interesting that they set a minimum of $50,000. You can't even apply unless you unless you have something that is,
Right.
3 times 50,000, 3.33 times 50,000. But I think we're in a sweet spot, like we're looking for a grant that qualifies but isn't huge. They're never going to give $12 million to Hawthorne.
No.
And, which also means we'd have to spend $40 million. So I don't want to do that.
And the sidewalk on the Diamond Bridge, says closed because the construction.
Yeah, they're.
Can we move the fence back now? Because they actually put the walls up and things like that. I mean, it's busy down there, Diamond Bridge.
Yeah, they
corner
closed
Diamond
it
Bridge and
because of the
Lafayette.
construction of the building there, I
The
think.
sidewalk closed.
Oh, yeah, we could go down there. So there's no way to get around?
You have to cross the street.
Across the street. But I mean, now, they moved the fence back because they put the foundations up now.
We'll take a look, see if we can move it.
Yeah, but it's a busy section down there.
Actually, Eric, why don't you send out the code official, and if he can do it, if not, we'll come out.
Okay.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, Eric, you had mentioned, I guess the reval company is going to be possibly sending out the letters to all the residents and I guess commercial people with regard to what they've come up with. If somebody has a question, who are they going to be able to call to
They'll
question
talk
it?
to ASI, and all that information will be in the letter.
Okay. All right. Did we hear anything, did we look at anything as far as the repurchase of the Bobcat yet, since we got some of that money?
We've looked at different options. There's some disagreement within the DPW as the proper type of equipment that we need, because we do have another Bobcat that we can use for, for some of the purposes. And so whether we get a second Bobcat or we get something else, we're not sure. They haven't determined exactly what they want.
All right, can we put that on the agenda, discuss it at Public Works?
As soon as we have a recommendation.
I don't think Bobcat, I don't think they make one that's over H5 loading, so I was just thinking about the bridge.
Right.
So I think no matter what Bobcat they get.
Yeah, well, they were thinking about getting something smaller, I think.
Oh, okay.
Whatever, not something
But I
larger.
think even the biggest one can now fit, can go on.
Okay, that's all for me.
2 weeks?
I think we have a meeting coming up Monday.
Okay. Well, we won't have a recommendation for Monday, I don't think, so we can.
2 weeks, Eric, 2 weeks.
Okay.
Feel free to use it.
I got permission.
Anything else, Mayor?
I'll have something for you in 2 weeks.
Kind of catchy. Have a motion to record the administrative agenda.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
by Mealy, second by Lane. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, sit back, enjoy. Introduction of ordinances. We have ordinance number 2243-20, an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 247 Flood Damage Prevention. Be resolved, this ordinance does now pass the first reading, and that said ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the Municipal Building, 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on March 4th, 2020, and at said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the said ordinance in the Hawthorne Press once, at least 1 week prior to the hearing, with the notice of its introduction and time and place when and where said ordinance will be considered for final passage. We'll strike that from the Hawthorne Press to be the Herald News?
Record. I
Record?
think.
North Jersey News. You can
North Jersey
Media
News.
Group.
There you go. Yeah. Have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mealy, second by Sierra. For those of you who are playing along in the audience, this is to repeal our flood damage ordinance. The state is basically repealing and redoing their language and their flood maps, and this is to make sure that we are in sync with their new flood map languages. So we're just kind of conforming with what they'd like us to do.
Right? Question?
John.
Michael, since we have to go to a different newspaper, the Hawthorne Press is closed, can we give them a condensed version of the ordinance instead of publishing the entire ordinance?
The good news for you is that I sent to Lori, and she actually sent me a draft model to begin with, synopsis versions for 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 All 4 of the 5 ordinances that you're considering, we will do by introduction summary.
Great, thank you. That's all, Frank.
Roll call.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Woteki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Bond ordinance number 2244-20, bond ordinance providing for the road reconstruction, including milling, paving, and resurfacing, as well as curbing, handicap ramps, and related improvements on various streets and properties described herein and hereafter identified, all in the borough of Hawthorne in the county of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $905,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of bonds or notes in the borough for the financing of the same. Be resolved, this ordinance does now pass the first reading, and that the ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body in the municipal building 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on March 4th, 2020. At the same time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the ordinance in the North Jersey media at least once, 1 week prior to the hearing, with the notice of its introduction at the time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. This is for our 2020 road program. Have a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Sierra, second by Lane. Any discussion?
Yes, just for the record, we did discuss this at length in Public Works, and Public Works is in agreement with the streets that we had talked about.
One other comment, Mr. President, just for the benefit of the new council people and anybody watching at home. All of our capital ordinances are put together looking at an overall plan that makes sure that the debt service, as we look in future years, is not going up, that we're keeping it even. So we're not, by borrowing this, authorizing the borrowing of this money, when we repay it back, it's not going to require an increase in the budget. We are very careful to look at that when we look at that in finance and in public works to make sure that we're not causing ourselves a future budgetary problem with our bond ordinances.
You didn't cover that Friday when you met with them?
No, you did.
I did.
Yeah.
In case I forgot.
Well, both last year and this year, we're spending well over $1 million on our road program. And when we set up our budgets about 5 years ago, we saw that we could do more these next 2 years. And then the third year coming forward, we have a question where we may have to be under about 800,000 or 900,000 just to keep our level with the debt coming off and coming on. So obviously, we're trying to do more and keep our level the same going forward.
Right. Yeah,
So that's why we're over $1 million here, because obviously you can never keep up. If you don't do it, it's bad enough on a good winter.
Yeah. And since we bond every 4 or 5 years, whether you do it this year or next year, and we're trying to do our roads in groups, either long roads, get the whole thing done rather than break it up into pieces, or if you have a few smaller ones nearby, do them at the same time, and to make rational choices rather than making arbitrary pieces. We hope that that people see that and they appreciate it rather than have the same road revisited. And it's more attractive, we hope, to contractors, so they don't have to jump when they realize they don't have to jump around as much. So.
And I'd also like to just add, and Eric talked about the financial part, but from an engineering standpoint, the borough of Hawthorne does probably the best job of any borough in maintaining their infrastructure. This stuff is vital, and it's the old friend, commercial, pay me now or pay me later. By doing this, you get the results, the money is well spent, and the borough looks fantastic. You take good care of your infrastructure. I just compliment all of you on the way that's been going on for the 20 plus years I've been here.
Steve, should materials be cheaper now with the oil prices down?
They do come down a little bit with the oil. Their environmental costs go up. But one nice thing about the Hawthorne job is by bidding the $1 million, you get a better price because it's attractive to a contractor. to come in,
We do it early,
one
too.
down. We always do it early, so we're out there early. We're ahead of everybody else bidding, and on top of that, it's a nice quantity. So Hawthorne always does very well with it. But you do a great job maintaining the road. That's what I just wanted to add.
A lot of years, we also get all the alternates put in, too,
Yep.
for the base price.
Yeah, we pretty much, as you know, when we give you an estimate, we try to give you an estimate on the higher side so that we never have to go over this. And for the new council people especially, in most years, we end up paving an extra road or two because we've got enough
Right.
with the price that we end up getting from the contract.
On this one, that we have money left over
Just
from a
bad
couple
trucks that
road
came
programs
as bankrupt.
that's adding to this 900,000, so we're getting even more done. We're doing fairly aggressive, because we have some roads that really need it, so we're taking care of it.
And just to let you know, again, I don't want to belabor this.
You're
but-
killing me.
Too late.
The cost of reconstructing the road is 3 to 4 times the cost of resurfacing the road. So if you properly resurface it and you don't let it get to a point where it has to be reconstructed, it's a tremendous cost saving long term. I'm done. Sorry about that.
Wow. Well, I have a question, and I hate to be...
So do I.
All right, so 44, 45, or 46, we had discussed, I know the Shade Tree Commission has presented, when they brought up their budget, that replacement trees would be added into it. None of this verbiage identifies that any tree work would be done.
Yeah, the chairperson had asked me that. We haven't included that. If you include it in the contract, it's going to cost you more money, because then you're paying a prime contractor, you're paying a pass-through. If we have, and last year we started putting more money in the shade tree budget because we knew we were doing the roads, and so we plan to do that this year. If the price comes in well enough that we're below, then if we do a separate contract for tree planting, we can conceivably charge it to the ordinance, but but the plan right now is to charge it to shade tree by and appropriate extra money than what we've done historically to make sure that there's money.
When we
to do
put
trees.
this year's budget together, we'll make sure that we have 3 new road, these road programs in mind when we're doing it. So why pay a contractor, a road contractor profit on a tree placement?
Like Boswell Engineering came back with like 156 trees they wanted to cut down.
Right.
And then we negotiated it down to like 56 or 57, and it came back, we're only replacing 33 out of the 57 to that road construction program. So then the council met with the administration, and they beefed up the number, and we're very grateful, but it doesn't state that anywhere that.
Yeah, because we're planning to do that, at current time, the plan is to do that through the operating budget.
Okay,
You'll get 25% more trees, Joe, by not putting it in the contract.
all right.
That's what his markup is going to be. He's not a tree person. So he's going to just hire a tree person that we can hire, and he's going to add 20% on top of that. So it makes more sense to do it directly.
All right, thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I have a quick question. When will you expect the project to start for the reconstruction?
This?
You're-
July or August?
You're introducing the ordinance tonight. You'll adopt it on March 20th. There's a March 4th, rather.
Well, it's actually the second, the one for the sidewalks, because it has the hearing, is going to be, it's going to be the next one, so it's going to be the 18th.
Okay, 18th of March.
Then you need
And
30
there's a
days.
30-day estoppel period, and we don't put it out until that. So we will bid the job 20 days, right?
20 days, yeah.
I just put it in my new 20 days.
Yeah, I know you do it.
April.
So there's a 20-day estoppel period, so the money would be available around April. We'll try and bid the job. Under state law, any price has to be held for 60 days. So we'll bid the job the beginning of April. Hopefully that means the money will be available middle of April, award the job the 1st of May. Construction starts May 15th.
Do you want to explain, they're new, do you want to explain the period?
Oh, the estoppel period is a period when someone could come in and sue over the ordinance. right?
He handles the legal. No, you do the legals.
Someone can come in and sue over the bond ordinance. After the 20-day period expires, it's now, the money's good. There are actually some towns that will go out, I don't recommend it, we've never had any suit here that I'm aware of.
Yes.
But some towns will go out a little more aggressively and go, but then that's a difficult thing if someone happens to sue, so it makes.
Yeah, we
sense.
don't do anything at risk. You do things at risk. We don't do anything at risk.
Well, I would say, based on that schedule, Mike, you're talking about starting work May 15th, the latest probably June. The one thing we will look at is any streets near a school. We'll make sure we do them in the summer. We'll do those in July, we won't do those in June.
And if you had a estimated completion date?
Probably this is with good weather, this is a 45 to 70 day job.
Mid-July.
With good weather.
Thank you.
I think we'll give them 90 days in the contract, that's what we normally give, but that just anticipates if there's bad weather.
Rain.
They like getting in and out too. They don't, you know.
Yeah. The contractor doesn't make any money if he doesn't come in and get it done.
Right.
So.
Rena?
Just a suggestion, on our website with the road program, could you just identify the streets that you're repaving so that we're communicating to the residents? There is a
It's
list?
part of the backup.
Says,
No, for the residents.
Oh.
Not just us, for the residents, so
Well,
that
they're
they're,
all getting letters because most of them
For the
have
sidewalk?
A
sidewalks.
lot of them don't.
But-
There's some of them don't. Some of the streets don't have sidewalks, but,
or curbs or anything, so,
Well, curbs the borough pays for.
watch on the Hawthorne community page, right when it says, there is a red X in front of my house, then you know that they got it.
well, I'm trying to be proactive here about
Okay.
communicating, so it was just a suggestion as we were talking about when you were riding
yeah,
off
we can
which
put,
streets.
we can
Put
put,
it on the website.
Yeah, I'm talking like on the website, hey, road program for 2020, these are the streets
We.
that we're gonna be doing, so that people know.
Oh, who's we?
It's that mouse in
What
your
do you mean
pocket.
we keep
What-
us out of?
Well,
I love
I
that
always say we.
The royal
Well,
we.
the
we can
website.
make sure it gets on the
Yeah,
website.
just to let people know, so that they're not surprised with the letters, and there's an X on the sidewalk, like on the
I've been
apron.
asking for you 16 years.
Yeah, but she's a Republican.
Please let the record state the mayor said that.
It's recording.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Please, call the roll.
Where were we?
We're on
2245.
44. 44, 20.
44.
44,
Woteki.
20. Say yes, Joe.
All right, look, I'm all in favor. Let's get it done. But
Okay.
Boswell, somebody other than Boswell picking the trees.
Skiara.
Oh, it is a joint
Mealy.
decision.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Bond ordinance number 2245-20. Bond ordinance providing for the road reconstruction, resurfacing, drainage, curb, sidewalk, and handicap ramp improvements on Parmalee Ave as described specifically herein by the Borough of Hawthorne in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $571,800, therefore authorizing issuance of bonds or notes in the amount. Well, why is it a different number?
Because this is where it has a state
Taking it
grant.
from another ordinance.
Oh, okay.
No, this is-
And
this-
$114,000 for the borough for the financing of the same. Be resolved, this ordinance is now past the first reading, and the ordinance be further considered for final passage at a meeting of the governing body at Municipal Building 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on March 4th, 2020. At said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same, and the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the ordinance in North Jersey media at least 1 week prior to said hearing with a notice of its introduction and time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Now, this is for our local aid program.
And that's the difference, right?
That's
So moved.
why it's a separate ordinance.
And
That's the
Council,
difference, Frank.
Council President, the
grant.
comments of the engineer, the attorney, and the administrator from the last ordinance apply here.
Right. Correct.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Except for the
Unless you'd like me to
vehicle. On
repeat
this
them.
one,
Nope.
We're getting a nice grant from local aid. That's the difference here. The local aid will be a grant
From
to us,
Passaic County.
where they advance the money to us, so.
Well, it comes, it's
So
a
Steve,
state,
I'm guessing you have no home life.
so. Can I have a motion? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lane, second by Witecki. No comments. Roll call.
Aye.
Leosa.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Woteki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance 2246-20. This is for sidewalks and aprons, by the way. Bond ordinance providing for the reconstruction or replacement of sidewalks and driveway aprons on Parmalee Avenue, Kingston Avenue, Park Avenue, Warren Avenue, as described specifically herein and by the Borough of Hawthorne in the County of Passaic, New Jersey, appropriating $300,000, therefore authorizing the issuance of bonds notes for financing part of the cost thereof and directing special assessment of the cost thereof. Be resolved, this ordinance does now pass the first reading, and the said ordinance be further considered for final passage at the meeting of the governing body in the Municipal Building 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on March 18th, 2020. At said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. The clerk is hereby authorized to publish the ordinance in the North Jersey media at least 1 week prior to said hearing with notice of its introduction and time and place when and where said ordinance would be considered for final passage. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mealy, second by Sierra. Any discussion? Roll call.
Woteki.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Zoning ordinance number 2247-20, an ordinance to amend and supplement the Code of the Borough of Hawthorne, Chapter 540 zoning to create section 540-8V drive-through restaurants. Be resolved that this ordinance does now pass the first reading of said ordinance, be further considered for final passage in a meeting of the governing body of the Municipal Building 445 Lafayette Avenue, Hawthorne, New Jersey, on March 4th, 2020. At said time and place, all persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard concerning the same. The clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish the ordinance in North Jersey media at least 1 week prior to said hearing, with the notice of its introduction, time and place, when and where said ordinance will be considered for final passage. Now, this is for drive-through coffee establishments. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Witecki, second by Mealy. Any discussion?
Yes. Is this exclusive to coffee
Yes.
establishments?
Yes.
Yes.
At this point, yes.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Leosa.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Woteki.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Resolutions. We have off consent, R31-20, budget transfers. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Lane, second by Mealy. Any discussion? Roll call.
Woteki.
Yes.
Skiara.
Yes.
Mealy.
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Leosa.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Cassette agenda. We have MR01, R32-20 through R36-20. MR01-20, install of a handicap parking space. R32-20 is low SAP benefit for eligible ambulance corps members. R33-20 is lien reduction. R34-20 is settlement agreement with 204 Wagger Road LLC. R35-20 is contractor's closeout for downtown revitalization, Phase 2. And R36-20 is approved settlement agreement for the Passaic River litigation. Can I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Mealy, second by Sierra. Discussion.
Discussion.
Joe?
MR 01-20. So I'm always in favor of granting a handicap parking space. Please hear me out on my concerns.
Sure.
This is from Westervelt, Goffel Road to North 8th. So currently, there are 14 houses on that area between Goffel Road and North 8th Street. There's approximately 17 parking spaces. It's a very densely populated area. Just to give you an idea, 22 Westervelt and 25 Westervelt already have handicap spots. So of the 17 parking spaces, 2 are already taken by reserved handicap spots. That means we'll be adding 1 more handicap spot to that area, and I don't think that densely populated area. All I'm asking to do is, let's table this for 1 meeting, ask the police to take a look at that area and how it's densely populated at night, after working hours, because I don't think that area can handle 1 more handicap parking space.
Well, I assume that the
look at it
handicapped person is parking there now. This will only make it more convenient and less walking for who's ever handicapped.
But they have driveways. These are areas that have, my point is these are houses, look, I'm in favor of it.
No, I understand.
If the police department, but they already have driveways. So I think where I get a lot of complaints from the residents. Well, I know the residents across the street, the people up Mr. Maziak, that in that general area as well, because they've been indicted by 55 Westervelt. They're not parking on their lot. They're parking on Westervelt, which makes that area even more densely populated. I know you can't force them to park inside their parking gate, but they're parking out there, and I just think what we're doing is we're making a parking space on the road just for one specific house and hurting. What did you say? You make one person happy and make everybody else unhappy?
Right. The problem is first of all, the handicap parking spaces don't belong to any one individual.
There's one right across the street from where you're putting it.
I understand that. Now, that's because we probably had a request from someone across the street for one. Basically, when we get a request, the person sends a letter to the mayor's office saying, I need a handicap parking space. We give it to the police to investigate. They go out, they look. Oftentimes, they move them if they don't think it fits in.
All right, I'm letting you know that you're going to make one person happy and
I understand.
17 houses unhappy.
I understand, but I guess the thing that I'm saying is, do you have the person walk who's physically able to walk, or the person
I'm
who's
not
not?
questioning their handicap
No,
abilities.
I understand, but if you don't have the space, you're forcing them to walk a longer distance because they can't park close to their
You hear
house.
from the residents all year long, not just snow season, but you hear.
Oh, Joe, I
Mr.
agree.
Maziak stopped you at Hawthorne Day and said the parking is unbelievable there. He's one of the residents on that street.
I don't
think
disagree.
we need to come up with a plan. If we keep taking away general parking spaces, we're gonna have a problem.
Yeah, but this person might be parking on the street now. We don't know that.
I don't know that. I'm just saying, let's
It
table
could
it,
just be
let's do a
they're
little
walking
investigating.
three
I'm not
cars
saying I'm
up
gonna vote
north,
no, I'm
you
just
know.
saying that
Right.
I think it needs more investigating.
Well, I would assume the police department
Police
has done that.
department, like I said, we pass,
Usually-
every request gets passed to the police department, they go out, they measure, they determine where, now, we've turned down parking requests when they're, if level driveways or whatever, where sometimes the driveway was easier to get to the house than the street. Sometimes because of stairs and other things, it's easier to let the handicapped people park on the street because they don't have to go upstairs to get there, but go through a walkway.
This is the west side of Westerville,
I'm ju-
not the east side where the stairs are.
I gotta tell you, Joe, I don't know where it is.
It's a major.
And I understand, I mean, we do this as an accommodation to our residents, and I realize, you're right, you make one person happy, you make 17 people unhappy, but
I want to know another street in Hawthorne that has 3 handicap parking spaces on it.
I can try and get you that information, I'm sure there are.
In that short period of time in that short.
Well, now
road
you're trying to
from
make it
Gotham-
tougher and tougher.
I'm not, I'm just saying.
I could get
it's an
you a street with
extremely-
3.
I would like to know how many on Westerville Ave from Goffel Road to North 17th, North 16th, there are handicap spaces. Because I know there's more going up Westerville.
But again, if someone has a handicap, they're entitled to apply for a space.
I think what
And-
we should
and
do
the
moving
complaint we
forward
get-
is then sell parking spaces like Hoboken
Well,
does.
the complaint that we get is, how come that doesn't have my name on it, so only I can park? And we said, that's not the way it works. Anyone with a handicap placard can park in a handicap space. But we'll do some investigation for you. But you really don't want to,
I don't want to upset the resident,
No,
but I
but
don't
you
want to
also
upset
really don't want-
17 other residents.
but you really don't want to have, or unless you do want to have permitted parking up there where people pay to park in the street. I don't think that's really what you want. I mean, I don't know, maybe it is what you want.
What, Don?
Are we voting on this or not?
Do I not get to ask questions?
Well, you're asking, are we going to table this or not going to table this?
No, we're gonna vote on it. If Joe wants to vote no, he can vote no. But yeah, there's a question, he's allowed.
I know.
Any other questions?
No.
Rena?
Okay. Michael, and I just want to make clear to the council here, and I acknowledge the Passaic River litigation settlement with the insurance company, which is fantastic that we had these insurance policies back in the day. Unfortunately, you'll never ever get them today, in 2020. Just wanted you to be aware that there are CERCLA record of decision on the lower 8 miles, which is bank to bank, a couple $2 billion, and then there's the upper 9. So just the release claims for those are excluded from this. So my question is, have we put our insurance company on notice again that there potentially may be some federal claims against us if those parties decide to go after third parties again, just to put them on notice? We understand we have the insurance to help us to pay for these claims, but just putting them on notice that there is a potential. And that was written in your memo, that it is unsure, but there is a potential if things get a little crazy at the federal level.
We have not put anybody on notice because we've not been put on notice by
Okay.
anybody that
Okay.
they intend to name us as a third party in any lawsuit. So to put an insurance carrier on notice at this point would be premature because we have no indication we will be named in a lawsuit.
Okay.
If we are named in a lawsuit regarding the upper 8 miles
The lower.
of Passaic River, we reserve the right to go after insurance carriers again.
Okay,
So
great.
that is a reservation.
Okay.
Right, if you remember, this settlement was what I called at the time reverse state aid. The state had a budget shortfall, couldn't figure out how to do it, so they went to the towns and made the towns give the state money rather than getting the state aid from the town, give from the state to the municipalities. Fortunately, it was a one-time event, but it was horrific what they
Well,
did.
hopefully that will remain that, and the bigger players in that super fund will take responsibility.
Yeah.
Just trying to
There's not
protect
an
the-
indication that we will be named as a party
Mm-hmm.
regarding the upper 9 miles or 8 miles of the Passaic River.
Okay, great.
We don't open the river anymore.
No, this is about the past.
No, this was,
This is the past with
Right.
Passaic Sewage Authority.
which is why we were able to go after insurance policies from the 70s and 80s, which did not have a pollution exclusion.
Correct. And I just would like to make a statement about the settlement with 204 Wag Road. Tonight, we are approving the settlement agreement with 204 Wagner Road. As the Hawthorne Environmental Commission Chair, I've been involved with both applications at the Planning and the Zoning Board, representing Hawthorne. In December 2011, I testified at the Planning Board for Hawthorne's Marketplace, which proposed a shopping center with a food supermarket and retail space, which the applicant addressed all of the Commission's concerns regarding stormwater management. The proposed use of supermarket and the additional retail suited the industrial commercial zone, and the Planning Board approved this application. Unfortunately, the applicant was unable to secure the anchor supermarket due to citizens in Hawthorne protesting Walmart. In 2015, the applicant proposed 219 residential units, 6,000 square feet of retail, and 4,000 square feet of office space at the Zoning Board. As the chair, I testified several times and raised significant stormwater management concerns and flooding. This application was denied at the Zoning Board. In light of the recent court case that Mike just gave the summary, Hawthorne is required to implement Round 3 affordable housing. And I worked with someone who passed away several years ago, and she was notorious environmental manager. Is it required? It's required. With this settlement agreement with 204 Wagon Road, it will satisfy part of Hawthorne's affordable housing. The stormwater issues that I raised during the 2015 application process will be addressed and reviewed and approved by DEP. It will be addressed because I do have concerns about the flooding and the stormwater management plan that was proposed for those residential areas, plus the mixed use. So, thank you very much.
Anybody else?
No.
Okay, roll call.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane,
Abstain on R3220, yes on all others.
Mealy,
Yes.
Skiara,
Yes.
Woteki,
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Reports of special council committees. Joe, we'll start your way.
I've already given mine.
A meeting was had. Not everyone cooperated. Michael?
Yes, the Hawthorne Board of Education has given notice for a board member vacancy.
How'd that happen?
I have to report on it. The person that is interested needs to be a resident of Hawthorne, and the appointment shall be the term from the date of appointment through December 31st, 2020. The eligible resident of Hawthorne have an interest in filling the position shall send a letter providing information about themselves and summaries that interest in the position. All letters must be received by 4 p.m. Friday, February 21st. Interviews will be held at the Board of Education special public board meeting on Tuesday, March 3rd. Interested persons may be notified at a specific time for the interviews. Letter should be sent to Trudy Engel, Business Administrator, Board Secretary, at 445 Lafayette Avenue. And her email is tengel@hawthorne.k12.nj.us. Additionally, the next board meeting will be held at Roosevelt Elementary School on February 11th at 7 p.m. And on the library board, the next library Board of Trustees meeting will be held on Wednesday, February 12th at 4:30. That concludes my report.
Rena?
Just want to announce that the Environmental Commission and the Green Team meetings have been canceled, and they'll be combined on February 27th. I issued notices in TAPNet last night, posted it. Also, I posted on our Facebook page, the commission, the Gateway project was kicked off because Mother Nature was working with us. So the rain gardens have been excavated, and they are all ready to be planted. So I'm working with Rutgers on getting the plants, and we'll be implementing that and putting the signs up and the tree tags, and we'll have a big grand opening. So
Did
it's
the
moving
clerk,
forward.
Sunshine out your change?
Yes,
Because Tap Into isn't official, so,
Correct. No, I sent it over
okay.
to Lori. And also, I just want to remind everyone, the Boys and Girls Club's having a beefsteak dinner March 7th at their Boys and Girls Club. Thanks. That's it.
She's the liaison. That's what she's. But she's the Boys and Girls Club liaison now. So she's got a little bit of rights
It's on
to
my
it.
birthday, but I'll be on vacation.
Usually anything to do with food, Michael handles.
Sorry, Mike.
But you didn't
Food,
cover it.
birthday, music.
She's just covering for you.
All right, I'll allow it.
Dominic. John?
Yes, this past week, we had a ordinance meeting to go over the ordinance that we passed for introduction tonight on the coffee restaurant drive-throughs. Also, the meeting dates have been set for the year for the ordinance committee. And also, I'd like to ask the mayor, is there any update from the Board of Health with regard to the flu shots?
I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to address it, but I will.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Frank.
Okay. Let's see here. Chamber of Commerce wishes to thank everyone who supported their Company of the Year dinner last Friday night. A good time was had by all. Planning Board met last evening. There was 2 things on the agenda. One was a certificate of compliance. A mail and copy center was coming to Lincoln Ave across from the Lincoln Grill next to Bella Fig, so that you can have lunch and get some business cards made and
At the
make
same
some
time,
copies
right.
and mail some packages. And as Eric said, for finance, we're going to meet next Monday at 4:45. That concludes my reports.
Frank, one question, is that a UPS store or just a?
No, it's just a
It's,
general copy of mail.
It's a copy store.
Copy stuff, no, but you can do mail.
Okay.
So you can drop off FedEx, UPS, like Mail and More in Glen Rock.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe a post office might want to use
Yeah. Maybe you
Everybody's
can
a
bring that to your
comedian.
committee for it. Correspondence, we have none, but we do have bills. Can I have a motion to approve the bills and forward them to the treasurer for payment?
it. Motion.
Motion by Sierra, second by Mealy. Any questions on the bills? Roll call.
Leosa,
Yes.
Lane,
Abstain on the fire department and the ambulance corps, yes on all others.
Mealy,
Yes.
Skiara,
Yes.
Labotecki,
Abstain on the fire department, yes on all others.
Matthews.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Public comment, and I'll open the meeting to the public. If anyone desires to be heard, come forward to the microphone and state your name and address. Really? You sat through the whole thing? You don't want to be heard? Okay. I entertain a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Mealy, second by Watecki. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next regular meeting is February 19th at 7 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Watecki, second by Mealy. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned.